Hi, and welcome to this demo of what's new in On Commander Pro 4.6. So I haven't done any video on what's new for a while, so I will go from version 4.2, which was the last video, to version 4.6 and show you what's new in the file manager on Commander Pro. So I will just go through the lines and explain one by one. Okay, let me put it always on top first. So yes, it's always on top. So the 4.6 release was mostly one of the main feature was the dark mode. So in the settings, you can change the look and feel to be more dark. So what has changed is first, when you switch to dark, not only this panel is changed to dark, but here also it's also changed to dark. And what you also have is the colors that were more red or more purple. They don't fit very well with the dark mode. So you can of course change to another dark mode. But now the color are a bit more pastel, let's say, to be more readable when you're using the file manager in the dark mode. So that has changed. Also, what has changed is, for example, the text editor. So if I open it, oh yeah, this one is always on top, so you can't see it. So before it was always a white background. So now you'll see that it's more like also the dark mode with the text editor. Let's not save it. Oh yeah, another change is you see that now it's when you ask you to save, basically the name of the file is also shown in the question. Before it was just save this file or save the file. Let's not save it, no need to save it. Yes, so if I edit, for example, from a text editor, also from a Git repository, so let's try to go to some Git repository. Do we have something like this in libraries? And let's say commands VFS. And, let's say I want to see this one. Let's put it also always on top. Okay, so this one. Then now you also have the name. You see I was in the Git branch, and then you see the name of the branch now also in the editor. So not only here in the directory, but also in the file editor. And sometimes also when we were switching from monitor to monitor, it was also messing up also the font alignment. So now it has also been improved. So yeah, so that's all what I've mentioned. So the unsaved files. Now it also asks you if I edit it. It will also ask me again, do I want to save and then put the name of the file in the question. So it's pretty useful if you have multiple, especially if you have multiple text files open in the tab and you call the entire applications, and it will ask you for each file that are open. So when you can see the top files, also, yeah, just a quick thing that you just can press enter on a file. If I go to here, so these are all the possible action I can do. You'll see that the disable action are now at the bottom, so they don't mess up. So whenever you filter to like, then if there were disable action, they would be at the bottom of the list, like you can see now. And there was also some of the actions that were basically with just empty text. So in this case, I'll just remove them from the list. Yes, so for example, when you copy a file, or in case of multiple files, you have most of the time a progress bar that shows you the name of the file and the progress of copying the different files. And before, the name of the file was just the maximum size I could show was only the length of the progress bar. Now it can use the entire width of the window of the progress bar. Yes, so thing. I noticed it for the true time fonts in this case for on Windows, that sometimes the open command of Java was failing. So now if it fails, then it tries another way to open the file. So and this would fix opening a true TTF file for true type fonts. Also, someone reported, I think K. Osman reported that link on Linux were not working. So I've made some changes so that links on Windows remain the same. So they would go to the location of the link, but if you have a symboling link of macOS or Linux, then you will remain in the symboling link directory, for example. So because apparently there's some difference between Windows and Mac, how our links are handled. And if there's an error during a file operation, then I have also a better way to show the error. So this one, rename file window, resize. Oh yeah, that was just the, if I do a rename, now it will change correctly the size. Before it was, if I would size it, because sometimes you can do some other options, then it would not remain the same. And now if I do it again, you see it's remain way better. And also, as you can see, now it's more in the center of the application instead of moving and so on. So also with this release, there's also new software. Now there's a free version of OnCommander Pro. So let me show it to you. It's called OnCommander Personal. So let's remove this from always on top temporarily. So OnCommander Personal is a free version of OnCommander Pro, and of course it has more limited features. So I would say OnCommander Pro if it's using it professionally at your work, and OnCommander Personal is more a simple version, and it's mostly if you use it just at home for standard things like opening files, copy files, movie files, a few renames, and that's it. If you're doing intensive works with files, just use OnCommander Pro. So what are the differences between both? So let's go, for example, with the search. The search can only be inside the list and only based on the name. Well, if you go here, you can also check subdirectories. You can do a regular expression, and you can say less than 1 month, and so on and so on. So here it's just based on the name. Then if you add a new panel, here you have different types of panels, more advanced text editor pro, image viewer pro, and so on, and many more. If I would add here a new panel, then you see it's more limited and it's more like basic panels. It has also less support for some files, so it's mostly. Let me show you. Oop, okay, so let me show you here. So here you can also do things like FTP, SFTP, HFTP, and so on. You cannot do in OnCommander Personal. And yeah, you have also less configuration, and also you see all the actions. There's many that you cannot do in OnCommander Personal. So just to show you this one, you see you can create multiple directories from clipboard, change, rename, and here is much simpler, just the basic files operation, directory, copy files, and delete. So way less options for it in it, but yeah, can still useful. Especially also can be useful if you're using OnCommander Pro and the license has expired, or you just tested it for more than 1 day. Then you also have the option to use while waiting or while buying a license to use OnCommander Personal at the same time. Okay, so let's remove this one. Yeah, if the first time you will start, now you can see a video demo, so you can easily learn from it. So, and there will also be in the help. You see, you have a 2-minute video and 5 minutes video, and you can see how to use File Manager. So we improve the startup tab, especially that we don't need to load the Git library if there's no Git directories here. Better handling, also better startup time, because now the icons are loaded more in the background when you start. So it will just reserve the place and loading icons, the different icons in the background, and especially that all the icons that you don't need for the menu, for example. So improve caching, of which directory is a Git repository, standard type. Yes, also yeah, for the editor, I've also registered YAML files. So yeah, I don't have any YAML files, but it's also registered as a text format. So as I mentioned, follow links on Linux and macOS. Also, I've improved the way we can detect symbolic links. And I've also improved the layout of the breadcrumbs when you see the flag screen like now. So now you have less space, and it's more like the greater than sign is more like in the middle. And also for this release, I've made some few upgrades. So first, WebDive library I've upgraded. So wait a bit for it if you're using WebDive for the next release, because there are more bug fixes. So I've also changed from to put it always on top. So I've also updated to use now command VFS jackrabbit 2 instead of command VFS 2 jackrabbit 1. Updated Apache commands net, Apache commands login, command codec, command compress, and also what I use for the, so it's a library, it's called Jet syntax text area. I've also upgraded it to the latest version. And what I will only mention once, but that's true for all the releases that I will go further, is there's also several bug fixes and small improvement and the application framework. So to see what I've changed, you can go here, then you can go change, and you see this text file in this case. But if here you have a button that will show you the changes in the application framework, and then you'll see all the changes since last release was, I don't know, probably middle of January. And then you'll see sizing dialog change, only show updates dialog if the main window is active, and so on and so on. Many bug fixes and small improvement usability. So I think the 4.2 was in October, so you see that's all the change probably since the 4.2 of inside the application framework. Yeah, so that was 4.6 release. Now let's go to the 4.5 release. That was in January. So apparently there was some save when was using save as. It was not sometimes. Apparently it was also saving the original file, so this is fixed. And this release is mostly about GitHub. So let me show you. There's a new file system called GitHub. So let's go to github.com. Let's take yeah, winget packages, or maybe something else. We have some many repository, but it doesn't have to be my repository. I can just go to and see if we have okay, let's go to, for example, this one, and let's say we want to have some other branch or JSON. Then you can just copy this one here, and if I press F9, then I can pick it up, and then you have to go to GitHub action. Then you can paste the repository. So I would recommend you to also maybe create, okay, yeah. So basically you can create also authentication key, otherwise you're very limited in the term of, because it's using the REST API of GitHub. Otherwise you're very limited to what you can do with it. So preferably just provide an API authentication token, so you can do like more than 5,000 requests instead of 50. Well, in this case, I will just do for the demo, just gonna go there. And then you see now I have access to, it looks like they are local files, but basically they're just GitHub files. And I don't show the date because each date is a request. So when I'm not using, when you're using a token, you will see also the date of the files, but without token, just to spare a number of requests to GitHub, I'm not showing it. So basically you can see different branches. So you see that it's read-only indeed because it's just a HTTP request, and you see the name of the branch here, but you can have multiple directories if you want from different branches of the same repository, for example. And you can also use the editor. So if I want to see it, I can just press it, and this is just GitHub build.xml that is only from the REST API, but I can also look at it. Yeah. So let me maybe go back to where I was. And also if I want to see, for example, this one, so let's say I want to see the bad files. Okay, then I can also now it's an action like GitHub, which is view in GitHub. It will just, oh yeah, it just for the directory. So if I go in the layout directory, sorry, you see, it just show me its layout directory in the correct branch. See that in the JSON branch. Okay, so let's go back to where I was. So that's a new GitHub file system that was coming in 4.5 release. Also in 4.5 release, let's select a few files. There's also some change in the statistics. So first you can also see size in gigabyte and also time ago. And also if you had selected, well, I haven't selected a directory, but if I had select the directories, and it would calculate the size of the directory in the background. So let me show you. In this case, yeah, time ago is 1 week, 1 year, 1 month, and the size, of course, it's just text file, so 0 gigabyte. Yeah. And now also, if you're a open source developer, then you can also apply for a free license. Then you can look at the pricing page and what's the criteria to be able to be eligible for a free license, but for open source developer of what large directories or medium bit known directories, and you can also apply for a free license. So that was for the version 4.5. So let's go back also to the version 4.4. So sometimes you have also files with date of 1970. So basically it's when there's no date set for a file. So it cannot, for example, happens on system, but also on compressed files and things like this. So instead of showing an incorrect date of 1970 of 1st of January, most of the time it's 1st of January 1970, and just don't show any date. So now we have also support for BMP files. So do we have one BMP file? So will be showing on the background. Let's put it always on top also. So now you see it also has support for BMP files, and also I think for save as BMP image. So that's for the image viewer, like we've seen, and also for the thumbnails panel. Yeah, so for actions, when you were deleting a directory, it's also rechecked again, because sometimes it will delete all the files inside it, but forget to delete the directory. So now at the end of the delete, it will also check again if the directory is deleted. So I'm also mentioned, so the file stats that have changed for computing the size. Yeah, for copying of files from a read-only directory, for example, if you were like in a compressed file, go, then it was sometimes showing the incorrect message of the copying. And like I've shown demos, the GitHub file system. Yes, the history of the search. Oh, I don't have any search, but let me check you. The history was sometimes using quotes if you had some spaces, and sometimes it was adding more and more quotes the more you were using it. So this is also fixed. And you also have a portable version of OnCommand Pro, and basically you can it was using the system temp directory to create temporary files, but now the temporary files are more created inside the application directory to be even more portable. Okay, and that was for version 4.4. Now let's go back to the last version that we're going to see today. And that was version 4.3 in November last year. So here, when you have precise bytes, so when you see kilobytes, then you move the mouse, then you see you have a tooltip that shows a number exactly of bytes. Well, this is not shown anymore when you just have precise bytes, because yeah, you can immediately read it. Then to update the breadcrumbs after command prompt. So this is more like if you're using, so let me go back to the build. Let me add a panel, and that was Mozilla Online Pro in a new tab. And this is for just for test. Okay, so this is a command line, and now it will try to update the breadcrumbs when you enter a command. So let me check if this works with dot dot. Yeah, you see that it tries to update based on what you've input. It won't work, but it's a bit better than what it was. Won't always work, but yeah, it's a bit better. Let me check territory front in front. Okay, base on front. I don't remember what it was. Okay, so let's skip. Oh yeah, so it's just the text editor was updating the panel before the file was loaded and was not needed. Yeah, you have an action which allow you to combine multiple files into one file, and there was some bug inside it, so I fixed the bugs. I have also the way that the number of files were counted, what's also sometimes a bit buggy, so also fixed. The replace panel, okay, let me check what was this one, because now it's a long time ago, so I don't remember everything. So replace panel will first use selected file if this, oh yeah. So if I have a panel and I want to replace it, then it will, for example, if I, let's try this. Replace panel, and I've selected build.properties. Then you see that already text editor pro is already selected. And you see it has replaced this panel with the build.properties. Okay, let me replace it back to the directory table. Oh, okay. Some errors. So replace panel, added possibility to bind a list file system to an existing file system. So an LST or list file system is just a text file that contains the files, the file name, the file size, and the file date only. So each line is just one file name, file size, file date. And basically you can link in now to the real file system. So before it was, so it's because it's just read only, but if you would open it, it would not open the file because of course the LST file would just be a text file that does not contain the content of the file. And if you have now linked in to some other file system, so imagine you have a LST file that contains Amazon S3 file your file of Amazon S3, you can easily browse it, and at the moment that you want to open it, then it will go to Amazon to, for example, to download it and to show it to you. Edit action to go to bound files. Yeah. So, and you have also now a special action where you say, okay, if I have, for example, I have a LST files and it's linked to an external drive. And I can say, okay, instead of remaining in the LST files, if you connect it to the already external drive, just go to this external drive. So it will just change the directory to this external drive. Yeah, so, and of course you need an action to say, okay, link this file to this LST file to this directory. Other changes, the order also, if I show, yeah, the order is now alphabetically. When I click here on the greater than in the breadcrumbs, the minor, the icons that show, like here, you see it's improved definition, so it's look, especially on macOS, it looks way better. What do we have? Oh yeah, the always on top that I've used a few times, like now you see it works way better. Sometimes it was putting it, or you had to click twice. And then some small bug fixes, and as always, as I mentioned at the beginning, improvement in the application framework. So, and that's it for all the updates that since the last video I've made on Commander Pro updates. So, hope you like it. So, and of course, as always, go to oncommander.com. Let me zoom a bit less for this case. To download your version, you don't need any credit card or login. You can just download and play with it for 1 or 2 days. And if you like it, then you can buy it, or just use the free version if you just for to do a few things. And thank you for watching. Well, you can also like and subscribe to the channel if you want more updates. And see you next time. Bye.